Have you ever wondered if you could actually build a real startup from scratch in less than a semester? Well, today we're diving into a high-stakes challenge that does exactly that. This is the 10-week journey from Bahrain Polytechnic's Lean Startup course, and it's designed to turn students into founders under some pretty intense pressure.
But that begs the question, right? Is it really possible to create something truly viable in such a short amount of time? This course argues that yes, you absolutely can. But, and it's a big but, only if you follow a very specific and very demanding roadmap. So, let's see how it works.
Okay, so here's how they break it all down. The whole thing is split into 5 2-week sprints. You start with discovery, then you move into defining your business, then you build the product, you validate it with real people, and finally, you launch and reflect. Let's dig into how each of these phases builds on the one before it. First up, discovery. And what's so crucial here is that the first 2 weeks are not about coming up with some genius solution. Nope. They're all about finding a problem that's actually worth solving in the first place. This is where the quest really begins.
Right out of the gate, the focus is on a genuine market need. Students have to write a clear problem statement, nail down who their customer is, and then, and this is the really important part, they have to create testable hypotheses. This isn't about just guessing, right? It's about creating solid assumptions that you can then take out into the real world and actually test.
So, you've got your hypotheses. Now what? Well, that brings us to phase 2. In weeks 3 and 4, it's time to get out of the building and start mapping the actual world your business is going to live in.
And how do you do that? Simple. You talk to real human beings. You're required, and I mean it's not optional, to go out and conduct at least 5 customer interviews. This isn't just sitting at your desk doing research. It's mandatory, face-to-face work to get raw, unfiltered data. And this is where things get really interesting. The course forces you to deal with what you actually heard, not what you wanted to hear. You have to face the music. Which of your brilliant ideas were right on the money, and which ones got totally blown out of the water by what real people had to say? So, you take all that learning, all that raw feedback, and you pour it into one central document, the business model canvas. This thing is amazing. It's your entire business, your customers, your value, how you make money, what it costs, all mapped out on a single powerful page.
Okay, now we're at the halfway point. You've found a problem, you've defined your business based on real feedback. Now it's finally time to actually build something. Phase 3 is where you take all those ideas and all that research and forge them into your first real product.
But hold on, you're not building the entire finished product. You're building an MVP, a minimum viable product. The goal here is not perfection. It's all about speed and learning. You create the simplest possible version that delivers that core value, just so you can get it into users' hands and start learning as fast as possible.
All right, so we hit the end of week 6, and this is a huge milestone, the Startup Development Progress Review. This is the very first time you have to stand up in front of everyone and present everything you've done so far. And look, the list of what you've got to present is no joke. You need that problem statement, you need hard evidence from your interviews, you need the completed business model canvas, you need an MVP that actually works, and you even need your first crack at a brand identity. It's the whole shebang.
Okay, so you do all that work, you put together this massive presentation, and what's it worth for your final grade? Absolutely nothing. 0%. And this right here reveals something really powerful about how this course is designed. This midpoint review is a totally safe space. It's a zero-stakes checkpoint created for one reason and one reason only: to give you feedback to help you improve before the real grades are on the line.
But there's another little twist to this review. It's not just about getting feedback, it's also about giving it. So what's the deal? Why would they make you spend your precious time evaluating other people's projects?
Well, it's because learning to spot what's good and what's not, objectively, is a massive skill. By checking out other projects, you're literally training your own critical eye to see strengths and weaknesses, a skill that, let's be honest, every single founder, investor, or really any professional absolutely needs.
Okay, so you've got all this great feedback from your instructor and your classmates. Now you're heading into phase 4, the arena test. In weeks 7 and 8, your MVP gets thrown into the ring with real users. This whole phase is driven by that famous build, measure, learn loop. It's this constant cycle. You put your MVP out there, you measure how people actually use it, and then you learn from that data to make the product better. You just repeat that over and over. And again, this isn't vague.
The tasks are super concrete. You have to do at least 3 formal user tests. You have to document the before and after to prove you've made changes. And you even have to launch a real marketing experiment and analyze the results. You know, how many clicks? Did anyone sign up? What was the engagement like?
And just like that, we're at the final summit. Weeks 9 and 10 are where it all comes together. All that discovery, all the building, all the validation, it all culminates right here in the final presentations and submissions.
And believe me, at this point, the grades definitely matter. But look at how diverse this is. It's not just some big, scary final exam. Your final grade is this cool blend of a detailed report, a live product demo, a public exhibition, a formal investor pitch, and even your own personal reflection on the whole experience. So think about it. After just 10 weeks, you walk away with so much more than just a random idea. You have a working MVP, a full business report, a polished investor pitch, and a deep reflection on the entire process, from a simple concept all the way to a real-world venture.
And this whole framework, this intense, super practical system, it all comes from Bahrain Polytechnic. It's designed from the ground up to turn students into founders by actually doing the work, not just listening to lectures about it.
Which brings us all the way back to where we started. Can you really build a startup in 10 weeks? Well, this roadmap proves you can for sure. Build a validated, documented, and pitch-ready venture. The sprint is officially over. The venture's born. And the only real question left is, what happens next?